The world today is full of conflict, and there are many who desire to solve the world's problems and have banded together to do so. The same has been the case for many decades, many centuries, many millennia. They have all largely failed. Why? As Einstein put it, in order to solve a problem, you have to rise above the state of mind in which it was caused. What is the reason for the suffering and conflict around the world? In order to understand that, you must become a psychologist, a therapist. You must study and learn to understand the mind of those who are in conflict, those who are not at peace, and the mind of those who are not in conflict, those who are at peace. And you must be able to compare the two, those who do not participate in the problem and those who do. What do the peaceful have that those in conflict do not? What do the peaceful have that the suffering do not? When you look at the world's problems from this kind of point of view, and you look at what brings peace to conflict, to suffering, the answer becomes apparent. In ancient times, in certain areas of the world, it was popular to come together and think about things, honestly and openly. "Come, let us reason together," was the cry of those who wished to understand things better. Much of the progress of society is attributed to the wisdom that was gained by such efforts. But over the years, in their place has risen a movement of ignorance, a philosophy which says you do not have the right to question those in authority. This is not reason. This is a movement of ignorance. The wise ones of history have always said that we must question everything, even that which we think we know, in order to be able to learn and grow. If we look at education today, and we ask ourselves what creates a happy, peaceful, and successful life, and we measure the quality of our education on its ability to educate people on how to create a happy, successful, and peaceful life, we find it severely lacking. Critical thinking, psychology, sociology, these are the sciences which teach people how to think, how to understand themselves, how to understand each other. Is this a coincidence? Or are the things that we need the exact things that are left out of our education? And if so, why? Why would these things be left out of our education? Unless those who are in control of our educational system are purposefully trying to maintain a society that is not peaceful, that is ignorant, that is conflicted. It is commonly understood today that the media is being used to create fear and conflict. Is this not part of the picture? There are many today who say things are the way they are. But anyone who looks at how things got to be where they are understands that things are what we make them to be. What makes things the way they are is the choices and actions of people involved in creating things the way they are. Things are the way they are because of choice. Whether it be choice based on ignorance or choice based on wisdom. Most people today don't even know the difference between knowledge and wisdom, let alone have the understanding to allow them to make the correct choices which would lead them down the path of happiness, peace, and success. As a human potential coach and therapist, I have been studying society since I was a child. And I have come to understand why the world is well known to have destroyed and is continuing to destroy the wisest among them. And the reason is because they're being guided to do so. And they're not educated enough to understand what they're doing. What is lacking in society is real knowledge and understanding, real education. I look around the world at the various societies and the various problems of humanity, and I see the common threads. And I have spent many, many years of my life studying those who have peace and success, happiness, love, the things that we all desire, and finding out what allows them to achieve these things. And once I determined that, I then looked at why most people aren't taught these things. Because this information wasn't that hard to find. But in the process of learning it and trying to share it, the reasons became apparent. Not only are we not taught these things, we are often taught the exact opposite is how we should live. These teachings of the exact opposite I call viruses of the mind. And they have, intentionally or otherwise, been proliferated throughout our society to epidemic proportions, to the point that we find ourselves in a society that is largely illogical, irrational, and incapable of peace, love, happiness, and success in any area, personal, professional, social, societal, on every level, individual, business, community, corporate, government, religion. The problems are the same because the root of the problem is the same. All actions which lead to success or failure, all actions which lead to peace or conflict, stem from one thing: our beliefs. All abuse in the world stems from ignorance and abusive thought. People take their unhappiness out on each other because they do not understand why they are unhappy, and they are taught to blame other people, and therefore they take it out on other people. This politically correct movement, which has been used as an excuse to derail freedom of speech, is just one blatant example of ignorance encroaching upon that which brings us peace, freedom. Around the world, people are losing their freedoms left and right under the banner of justice. But it's nothing more than a politically correct movement, an attempt to control people's minds, control what we think and what we say, and hinder intelligent discussion and addressing the real issues. You cannot address the problems in our society until you address the root cause. And that cause is our beliefs. But we are so brainwashed into being egotistical and self-absorbed and defensive and paranoid that most people don't want to have their beliefs challenged. And to do so is considered an attack under the label of politically correct. It is not appropriate for us to question. It is not appropriate for us to draw attention to that which is wrong, which is detrimental, because right and wrong have been commercialized and brainwashed into people and used as an excuse to abuse people. And people have become so tired of the abuse that they have turned around and used their own beliefs as an excuse to abuse others. And so the fight or flight defense response has now turned into a movement of hiding from the truth, and a movement of greater conflict and abuse in the name of self-defense, instead of addressing the real cause of suffering, which has put them in such a traumatized state that they don't want to hear it when people try to draw their attention to what's really wrong. In order for these things to change, there must be an across-the-board, honest and open discussion and analysis of what's really going on, what it really takes to achieve happiness, peace, and success, and freedom, and restore these things to our society. But in order to do that, we have to put aside our pain, our fear, and our ignorance, and be willing to openly consider and discuss what we believe, how we perceive the world, how we perceive ourselves in it, and how we live our day-to-day lives and societal structures. The taboo subjects of politics and religion and spirituality and child rearing and education have to be discussed honestly and openly. And how we think and do things has to be reevaluated and weeded out. These weeds, these beliefs, which cause conflict, hinder peace, hinder happiness, hinder freedom, must be identified and weeded out in order for anybody to achieve their ideals of happiness, peace, freedom, and success. The unhappiness in the world is due to the lack of these four things: people's inability to achieve a happy, successful, and peaceful life of their dreams, which is nothing more than our natural state. We are born into a world of chaos and suffering, and we naturally want to live a life of happiness and peace. But when our various societal philosophies are pitted against that effort, the societal structure becomes self-defeating and self-perpetuating. And that is what has happened in our world today. So, if you want to achieve your full potential, if you want to learn to live a happy, successful, and peaceful life, you must, I repeat, must, reevaluate how you think, how you live in every single area. Now, it sounds like a daunting task, but it's not. And the reason for that is because these detrimental beliefs that are getting in the way are actually a core few. They have just been communicated differently in different areas of life in order to be able to confuse you. Yes, I am implying that this is being done to you on purpose, that social brainwashing is real. People don't want to hear that quite often. But unfortunately, it is a truth that has to be addressed if we are to create a society which will actually allow people to achieve their full potential, or even simply happiness and peace, let alone develop their capacities. We must stop dwelling on what we think we know, what we believe, and we must focus on what is true, what is beneficial, and what is detrimental. What will help us create the life and society that we want, and what is hindering us. And we must remove that which hinders us. I have dedicated my life to this. I was born into a family which was tearing itself apart from the inside. And I have watched families, individuals, organizations, and societies do the same thing all my life. Tear themselves and each other apart. And in studying how to create a happy, peaceful, successful life for myself and achieve my full potential, develop my knowledge and skills, I have determined what is lacking in my life and in the lives of others in our society. And I have dedicated myself to not only achieving happiness, peace, and success for myself and exploring my full potential, but helping others do the same. You can look at it as my ministry, you can look at it as my cause, but it is my reason for creating the Quantum Empowerment Alliance and creating educational programs and movements to help people achieve their full potential. I hope you will join me in exploring human potential and in the process creating a better life and society for ourselves, for our families, our children, and others that we love. The chaos and war is unnecessary. It has been said that 95% of the world's suffering is needless and is based on ignorance and wrong thinking. That statement was made before I was even born. But to this day, through my education and my experience, to me that seems to prove out. And there is only one path to walk, and that is the path of education, because ignorance really is the problem. And if ignorance, lack of knowledge, is the problem, then only seeking knowledge can solve this problem. Only finding the truth and living it will truly set us free to achieve a life of freedom, happiness, and success that we all want and need, and the lack of which is destroying everyone on all levels. Physically, spiritually, mental, emotionally, societally. We're destroying ourselves and taking the world with it. Destroying a majority of the living creatures on this planet through our ignorance and self-destructive behavior. This has to change. And the children coming into this world are recognizing it and motivated to do something about it. But few people on this planet so far that I've seen even understand what the problem is, let alone how to address it. I have done my best to find those answers and to learn how to help other people do the same. I'm not giving people another set of beliefs that I'm trying to brainwash into them. I help people learn how to find the truth for themselves and guide them through the process of doing so as a coach and therapist. As a coach, teaching them how to play the game of life better, learning the skills and information required to play that game better. And as a therapist, helping them recover from their emotional baggage, their abuse, their trauma, their suffering, so that they can stop dragging that baggage around, weighing themselves down, and diffuse the emotional triggers that motivate them to take that unhappiness out on other people, which is a common trend in our society and is generationally taught. Abuse is taught. It is not natural. Children adopt the behavior of their parents because they adopt the psychology of their parents, the beliefs, the perspective. This has to change. We all want a happy, peaceful society in which we can explore our full potential and become the best people we know how to be. I want to help you do that. For me, for you, for our family, for our friends, for society, for humanity. We have to stop destroying ourselves and each other and turn this pattern of destruction around. I hope you will join me in doing so. I am the Quantum Empowerment Coach. My organization is called the Quantum Empowerment Alliance. It is a global network. It is not a corporation. I am pursuing nonprofit status, creating a university to help anyone and everyone who wishes to do this learn how to do so, and then go out and live it. I am training peacekeepers, arbiters, healers, therapists, because not only do we need to learn these things, but we need to learn to help other people. There are many projects and programs involved to work on specific areas of life and society to forward these goals. I offer you the opportunity to get involved, to learn and to help other people. Whether you can donate time, money, knowledge, whether you can help us spread the word, help us grow, I ask you to do what you can, because this needs to be done and we all know it. And few people and organizations out there seem to know how to do it. Let's make it happen together.